phone. No. The idea here is that even an attack dog, trained properly, can sell. Look, the thing about dogs is this. Once they get the scent, they never forget it. Once they get the scent and the thrill of the chase, they will chase over and over and over again. Dogs are very, very persistent. That's the reason I picked dogs. As a matter of fact, a famous actor once by the name of Lenny Bruce, once said, he said, men are like dogs, women are like cats. He says, you know, you can if you beat a cat or you hit a cat or scold a cat, the cat runs away. But guys are like dogs. You beat them, they keep cowering back for more. They keep coming back for more. Now, I'm not going to get into the gender side of things here. But in fact, sales is the same way. Dogs are persistent. The other thing is, as I was starting to say before, the issue about objections and rejections, you ever see a dog catch a cat? No. I mean, dogs never catch cats. They chase cats forever. They've been chasing cats for 5,000 years. I don't think one dog has ever caught a cat. However, do they lay on the floor, put their paws over their head and start howling? Failed again? Of course not. They don't take it personally. Their tongue comes out, and they're back at it again. What I'm saying is, as you look at your dog sitting in the corner of your kitchen or the corner of your living room or wherever they're sitting, take some very powerful lessons from them. I created an objection-rejection system. It's basically a system that says this. As a matter of fact, hopefully you can be able to read this. Is if all of a sudden somebody comes up to you and says this, I have no time to see you. Right now, I give you exactly 5 seconds to answer it. Go. Okay? Some of you couldn't say a word. Some of you probably said something stupid. Others of you probably came up with something good. The difference is, it's not what the question is, it's how you emotionally respond to it. So what we did is we created a system that not only has the objection on it, but it's got the answers on the back. How do you handle it? What are the questions that you ask? So that you drill them over and over again. Now, some of you are pretty familiar with a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. Now, Robert went to work for Xerox. I worked for Burroughs at the same time when we lived in Hawaii. One of the things that we did, we also both learned to teach a course called Money and You that many of you have participated in or are familiar with. One of the best forms of sales training we did, and where this idea came from, is we used to lock ourselves in a room with other friends. And we had take turns going to the front of the room and handling objections. You can imagine that after several hours with people who know you very well, some of the questions got extremely ugly. And I won't repeat any of those in these company. But by doing them over and over and over and over and over again, what happens mentally and psychologically is you begin to desensitize, the emotion begins to drop away from it. In other words, the flashcard system that we've created here is specifically designed that within a very short period of time, when you see these, by the way, we picked the 40 toughest objections that most of you will ever face. Once you drill them enough times, what happens is the emotion drains away, you're able to think clearly and then ask the proper questions to stay in the hunt. The problem is most people completely freak out at the moment that they're derailed. That's why we created the system. Probably one of the most important parts of sales training, most important parts of your life that you can learn from it. What are some of the other things? The other thing about sales dogs, if you understand the mentality of dogs and you want to train those of you that have networks, those of you that have sales agents working for you, the key is how do you manage this group? So, once you bring in new pups into an organization or into your household, what do you have to do? You have to puppy train them. You have to take them to obedience school. You got to create some rules. Like, first of all, they're not allowed to tear up the furniture. They're not allowed to pee or poop in the house. What does that mean? That means that if you make a mistake, that you're personally responsible for it. It's kind of a code of honor for sales dogs, so to speak. So what we've done is we created a full formula as to how to set up the team, A, to be able to be voracious sales dogs. B, how to get them to play to their strength. so that if they are the Chihuahua, if they are the product expert, how do they use that to their advantage, and what types of clients do they go to in order to generate lots of sales? The problem is most sales managers try to mold the sales dog to their type, whoever they are. Why do they do that? Because that's what they know. The problem, that's why most sales forces, most salespeople and most sales teams fail. It's why only a few salespeople end up selling most of the sales. That's why there's such high employee turnover in sales. One of the reasons I was motivated to do this book and to take this route is that there are actually people out there in sales training that will tell you that what you do is once a year you take the bottom half of your sales force and just fire them. Now, not only is that a gigantic waste of money and time, but it's a huge toll on the human spirit. The truth of it is some dogs can hunt and some or sell, and some dogs cannot. The only ones that cannot are those that are unwilling to learn. You all heard, can't teach an old dog new tricks? Well, that's not true. Old dogs can learn what they were inbred and inherently already know. Like I said, if you like to win, you can sell. If you like to talk, you can sell. As a matter of fact, as we go through the 5 critical skills to becoming a great sales dog, presentation is one of them. You've got to be able to present to people. You've got to be able to talk. You've got to be able to articulate. Take all the myth out of that. Look, those of you that know me know that we've trained hundreds of thousands of people in how to do this. What happens if one does not know what kind of dog he is? Oh, good question. If he doesn't know what kind of dog he is, then what you do is you email Richard here on the website, or you email me at our new website, which will be up next week, which is called salesdogs.com. Salesdogs with an S. There's a pirate out there that's singular, but salesdogs with an S.com. And what we created is we created the Sales Dog Diagnostic. And what the Sales Dog Diagnostic is basically a set of questions, very simple questions, that once you answer them, you find out what kind of sales dog you are. No manager should ever even attempt to start training until you understand the type of people you have. For example, what do you feel is the best way to generate the greatest number of prospects? Phone, fax, or blitz? Conducting a seminar? Attending other events and introducing yourself? Asking for referrals? Building a reputation for servicing customers? Or staying on the corner holding a sign dressed like a clown? Now, obviously, there's no incorrect answer. But the way you answer these questions probably take you all of about 8-9 minutes to do. Once you answer these questions, you'll find out where your bias is, where your strength is. Any one of those answers will work to generate prospects. Which one works for you? And as you gear yourself toward that direction. Now, that's one. The other thing we found out is that there was some study done, a study done about 10 years ago, little known study, about whether you even have the aptitude to sell before you even go out and make your first sale. There's a tremendous amount of research that went into this. A team of psychologists from overseas put this together. We've exclusively licensed this diagnostic. It is not available anywhere. And basically what it is, it's the attitude and aptitude questionnaire. In other words, by completing this particular diagnostic, can make a difference in a minimum of a 35% increase in your sales. Average 50%, as high as 85%, by understanding the right mindset and the right attitude. We can not only test for it, we can give you the process to change your mindset if you don't test well against it. Okay, the next question I got here. You think you're a poodle, but actually something else. What happened? Oh, you think you're a poodle, but you're really not? Oh, because you're probably a legend in your own mind. That's obvious. You think you're a poodle because you want to look good. The problem is most of your friends know that you would rip any raw meat to shreds on any given signal. Some of you, it doesn't matter what dog you think you are. It's what dog you are. Just take pride in it. There's no shame in being a pit bull or a poodle. As a matter of fact, there's probably very few pure breeds, as I found. Most of them are crosses. For example, my father, the eternal salesperson. My dad is 71 years old. He is a pit bull actually in basset hound clothing. Why? Because he has that soft, rapport building capability. He wants to look you in the eye, build personal rapport. He prides himself on integrity. By the way, Basset Hounds can't stand when people betray them. They think that everybody should be as loyal as them. So that may strike a chord for some of you. So he's a cross. He's a Basset Hound, but he's also tenacious. He will pester a person until they're blue in the face. What about sales dogs that drop their drop their products on the footpath? Is that what you said? Yeah. What about sales dogs that drop their products on the footpath? Now, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I'm just going to interpret what it means. A sales dog that drops their product for something else or jumps to another company, that's what we call a stray. Okay, now, dogs, you know what happens to dogs if they go stray. They run around, they jump from company to company, product to product, place to place, and sooner or later they get caught, they throw them into the pound, and they cut off their you-know-whats. They're neutered. So what happens is, with the very essence of the spirit for the hunt or the kill gets knocked out of them. That's why I say you got to focus. And we have a whole career counseling piece in here, is how to pick the company, how to stay focused on it, and actually how to migrate across what we call the sales dog cycle. So you can actually, starting in retail sales, ultimately to the fifth dimension of sales dog sales, you can increase your income by at least 20-fold. The point is, don't drop your product in the footpath. Stay focused. Get the training you need. If you're not getting, the only reason to switch would be if you're not getting the training that you need in order to learn what you need to learn. That's what's important. Any other questions? Do we have another question? No? Okay. So, in wrapping this thing up, because I see I'm just about, what's that? Who wanted to say hello? I want to say hello. Oh, yeah. Okay, hello. This is obviously very awkward for me. I'm used to doing it with a live audience, not looking into this little lens here. But there's some friends of mine out there. I'm sure there's some friends of mine in Perth. You guys have been the inspiration for all of this from the very, very beginning. That is for anybody who's never been to Perth, that is the biggest pack of pit bulls I've ever met in my entire life. They all think they're poodles. They think they're all the other things. Don't let them fool you. You turn your back, they've got you by the seat of the pants, and they'll never let you go. So thank you to all those guys there. Okay? Say hello to everyone. I want to be sure that this is live. Yeah, this is live. Hopefully there's somebody in San Diego. I don't know what time it is in San Diego, but where I learned all of this was in San Diego. As a matter of fact, my great mentor in the process, a fellow by the name of Marshall Thurber, who started Money and You, was probably the epitome of all sales dogs. He basically had it all. He was the sales dog. He had the sophistication. He had the intellect of the Chihuahua. He had the tenaciousness of the pit bull. And in fact, for all my friends in San Diego, I hope the surf is up. I hope it's nice. I'd like to get back to the States as soon as I possibly can. Hopefully there's people here from all over Asia. I want to say this. I'm throwing in the sales dog piece. The significance, however, today is not about what I have to say. The significance about what today is about is the fact that you are doing something that has never been done anywhere. Training has never been done this way. Hopefully you learned something in this process. But training has never been done this way. And if you understand that paradigm shift, we all here are part of history. The thing I want to do is I want to thank Richard Tan for putting this all together. He's going to come on here in a second and say something to you. I want to thank all of you for being willing to listen. The last thing I want to say is just the last thing out of this book when it comes to sales dogs. I'm just going to, if I got about 10 seconds here, let me just say this. At some point, you're going to determine what kind of sales dog you are. At some point, you're going to understand also that any transaction is a sales transaction. You've heard that before. But the thing is this, remember that every dog has their day. Sooner or later, day will come and success will prevail, no matter how much adversity you deal with. What you do with that experience may be as important as any other experience that you as a sales dog have. Be sure to leverage it and build on it. As humans, we remember mostly things we see. When we recognize a smile, it's a sign of approval. When we see a familiar face, we remember a friend. But dogs remember what they smell. Once the scent of a deal becomes familiar in their senses, they will be able to track down their quarry no matter what it looks like. The scent of the hunt is the same. Teach your sales dog to trust their senses, trust your senses, and pursue the scent that will lead you to wealth. Last word of advice. Because it is said that a dog is a man's best friend, the one rule that all sales dogs know, that when the going gets tough, when adversity is facing you, remember to be your own best friend. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for putting up with me. Thank you for having me here on this initial broadcast. The future is different. Good luck, good selling, and tell the truth about what kind of sales dog you are. And if you have any questions, ask your significant other. Thank you. Good luck. God bless you all.
Greetings. First thing I want to say is welcome to everybody wherever you are. I understand we're crossing about 10, 15 time zones, equally as almost as many countries. And before I even begin, I want to say thank you to the whole staff. Some of you are sitting at home in the comfort of in front of your own computer screens, but to let you know that there's a crew over here that has been working night and day to make this happen. And to my knowledge, all of you are to be commended if you're watching this, that this is truly history in the making. As a result of what's going on tonight, I'm honored to be here because this represents a fundamental shift in the way we learn, the way we look at business, and how all of our jobs are going to materialize. So if you're sitting next to somebody, there's somebody in your living room or somebody at your desk, turn to them right now. Those of you that know me have to humor me on this. Turn to somebody, give them a high five, tell them you're awesome. Okay, thank you. It's kind of hard to do this with nobody to respond to. So thank you all for being here. Like I said, this revolutionizes the way we look at business, the way we look at everything. But one thing, and the reason that I'm here tonight, to talk to you a little bit about one skill that regardless of whether we're in the e-commerce world, whether we're in the industrial age, information age, is one skill that everybody here must master, and that's that of sales. Now, some of you that have known me, there's some friends of mine in Perth, Australia, probably going, what in the heck is this guy doing? He talks about teams. He talks about leadership. Why are we dealing with sales, and of all things, sales dogs? Well, the reason for it is this, is that in my career, as I have spent the last 15 years working with corporations all over the world, it never ceases to amaze me that most any transaction, any successful transaction, is conducted by somebody that is successful in sales. Now, let me explain a little bit further. Years ago, I went to work for a company by the name of the Burroughs Corporation. They're now called Unisys. The reason I did that is because I figured that in my business career, the best thing that I could do for myself is train myself. Just recently written a book on the subject that's going to be released within the month. It's called Sales Dogs. When it says Sales Dogs, why that dog will hunt /sell, and why some cannot. Now, why did I write the book? I wrote the book because, in fact, anybody can sell. You don't have to be an attack dog to be able to sell. And the reason that I took this on is because through dealing with hundreds of thousands of people over the years, in terms of team building, leadership, motivation, all of that stuff, everybody would walk away from the seminars going, yeah, that's great, I'm inspired. But then they'd walk away and not do anything about it. Why? Because teams are hard to build. Leadership takes a lot of effort and responsibility. It's not for everyone. But the same lessons apply. The reason I did this is the very same lessons apply when you sell. The difference is, of all the skills that you can master in the world, sales is the only skill that will put cash immediately in your pocket. Now, I know nobody out there is interested in cash in your pocket, correct? Wrong. Everybody should be, and everybody can be. The truth of it is what this book dispels is the fact that there's a certain stereotype that you have to be in order to be able to sell. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But there's two reasons why why anybody can sell. Number one is that if you're trained properly. The reason we use dogs is if training salespeople is the same as actually training dogs. Now, those of you that have dogs out there, look at that whimpering canine sitting in the corner and just go up to them, pat them on the head, tell them you love them, because, in fact, from now on, for the rest of your career, that dog is going to teach you more about how to make money than anybody else ever will. Let me explain. That dog, first of all, I wish I would have owned a dog before I was a sales manager, number one. Second of all, I'm the proud father of a beautiful 4.5-year-old son. I also wish I'd have had a dog to train before I had my son. Why? Because they're trained the same way. The reason some dogs, and so what I say is that sales dogs, a true blue salesperson is a sales dog. Think about it. A dog will come up to you, drop a stick at your foot 101 times, take every rejection in the world, and still drop the stick at your foot, hoping that you'll throw it for them. Now, let me just get into it since I don't have a lot of time. There are 5 types of salespeople. Those of you who are sales managers out there, directors, please understand this. Rule number 1, if you want to have a great sales team that sells hot and sells a lot of money, sells for a lot of cash, you've got to know their strengths. The premise of this book is to understand how to play to your strength and have it put cash in your pocket. How do you do that? First of all, you got to understand what kind of dog you are. First of all, let me just read to you one little piece out here. We'll find out if you're even qualified to be a sales dog to begin with. First of all, answer a couple of these questions. Do you have a natural persistent streak in you? Okay. If John Butler's out there, he said yes. Okay. Do you have a tendency to try to convince other people of your point of view? Okay, good. Thank you. You find that when you're talking in a group of people, that something about something that you're interested in, that your voice gets louder and you naturally get more dramatic. Now, if you didn't say yes to this, 95% of you are lying, because most of you all do that. And do you love to win? If you answer yes to any of those, you're a true blue sales dog. You can make a ton of cash understanding your strength. Now, here's how we begin. First of all, there are 5 types of salespeople. Sales managers, listen to this, because if you don't understand the type of sales dog you have, if you're trying to mold them to the kind of dog you are, you'll never be successful. Dog number 1, the stereotype, everybody's favorite, the pit bull. That's right. Some of you out there are pit bulls. All you need is a cuff, a sleeve, something to grab onto. It's like you grab onto it and just tear to pieces, right? You know the kind. All you need to do is throw them some raw meat, and they'll destroy everything in their path. That is the stereotype of most salespeople, the pit bull. However, the truth of it is very few of us are the pit bull. Very few of us are attack dogs and just love to go after the hunt. More likely, you might be a poodle. The poodle looks good, very sophisticated, very elegant, and would never even consider getting their paws dirty over chasing some stupid stick into a river or into the mud. Some of you are poodles, definitely looking good and making sure that you always portray the best image out there. You are the marketing gurus. The pit bull is the attack dog, the confrontation expert. Who else? What other dogs do we have? Well, we have the golden retriever. You know, I have a friend in Denver who's a real estate salesperson, very, very successful. She is a golden retriever to the end. All she wants to do is to serve the client. She sits by the phone like a golden retriever, waiting for the phone to ring, doing anything that the customer wants. Customer asks for something, sure, what can I do for you? Can I do anything? Is there anything else I can do for you? They will come back and back and back and back again, trying to serve the customer in such a way until the customer is left with no other choice but to say yes to them. Worse yet, when my friend Jamie looks at me with those big brown eyes, those big brown droopy eyes, and she says, isn't there anything I can do for you? Your heart just melts. They're a bundle of love, and all they want to do is to serve the client. Those are 3 of our dogs. The pit bull, the poodle, the golden retriever. Now, a rare commodity, but then again, automatically a good sales dog is the Chihuahua. You know, I'm not one to cuddle up to Chihuahuas. They're not real kind, cuddly and friendly types of dogs, but they're those little dogs, and they yip and they yap, and their eyes are bugged out of their head. These are the dogs that will talk your head up. As a matter of fact, if you don't get them to shut up soon, they give you a headache in the process. These are the techno wizards. Anytime you look at a Chihuahua, their eyes are probably bugged out of their head because they've been on the internet all night, drinking coffee, Coca-Cola, and have so much caffeine in their bodies that they can't stop talking. They're the experts and the gurus of product knowledge, critical on a sales team. Last but not least, I think I've gotten through 4 of them, is that correct? Last but not least is the Basset Hound. The old faithful Basset Hound with those big puppy dog eyes that look into your face and look at you with those droopy eyes and say, please buy from me. Some of you are out there. Their favorite word is please. As a matter of fact, if you don't buy from them, these are the ones that probably pull up pictures of their family, show you their kids, all of the bills that they've got to pay, and probably their strongest suit and the reason they sell so much is they're great beggars. Now, obviously I've poked some fun, but right now some of you have already identified with one of those breeds of dogs. The question is, which one are you? Or which combination of dogs are you? The reason I say this is because if you're going to go into sales, and this is true for the old dogs and for the new dogs, you pick a company not based upon the compensation. Please hear me on this. When I chose Burroughs years ago, I told you that I chose that company because they had one of the best training programs. They probably had the worst commission program, but they had one of the best training programs. The reason you pick a company based upon what you're going to learn, not on the compensation. Then what you do is take on a mentor, somebody within that organization, a sales manager, a director that is not your type of dog. Look, if you're the poodle, you need to learn some skills from the Basset Hound on how to build personal rapport. If you're the Chihuahua, you've got to learn how to shut up when you need to shut up and be able to market like the poodle. See, if you do what you've always done, you've heard the expression, you get what you always get. In sales, the key is to understand your strength and balance it with the mentorship of something else. That's why I like network marketing as a great place to learn to sell, because in fact the nature of the system brings you in. The nature of the way the system brings you in is that people have a vested interest in getting you to learn and you get lots of personal coaching, lots of good training. So whether you're in real estate, whether you're in insurance, whether you're in corporate sales, whether you're in office products or network marketing, doesn't make any difference. Pick the company that's going to train you the best, and then make a commitment to be there 3 to 5 years. Why? Because it takes that long to be able to develop the skills that you need to develop. I'm having a question. There are many subscribers trying to sell each other on the discussion right now. What kind of dogs are they? Well, it depends what they're trying to sell. Are they trying to sell each other on the value of the program? Then you're probably a Chihuahua. If you're trying to sell people on the value of this program just in order to say that you won and you got your point of view across, you're probably a pit bull. If you're telling people that you want to sign up for this program because you'll look good, you're obviously a poodle. And of course, if you're the retriever, you're probably saying, this is probably going to serve you so well into the future. It will give you so many benefits. It will serve your family. It will serve your business. That's the retriever side of it. So you have to pick for yourself which kind you are. As a matter of fact, what's interesting is that as I've interviewed great salespeople all over the world, probably the most devastating of all breeds is not the pure breed at all. It's the crossbreed, the mutt, I call them. And probably the most devastating of all is the female pit bull in poodle clothing. Yeah, you know the one. They look good. They charm you. They build great rapport with you. Meantime, you have no idea if they're taking your leg off in the process. That's the pit bull in poodle clothing. And many of you know who you are. Now, why do we do this? In the book, what I've attempted to do is to make this what I call dog doo-doo simple. You know, there's been a lot of books written on sales. There have been lots of seminars. This is a seminar in a book. And what it's designed to do is to give you insights to the 5 basic critical skills to being a great salesperson. It also gives you the 4 critical mindsets. In other words, how do you handle adversity? when it hits you in the face? How do you handle a win when it hits you in the face? What do you do when you're approaching somebody and you have a question in your own mind? All these things are answered. In the time allotted, I don't have a lot of time to get into it with you here. But my point here is that training or teaching yourself and learning is the key to is the reason great dogs can hunt. Now, let me give you a couple other examples. One of the things that we found is probably one of the number one fears of most salespeople is handling objections and rejections. The reason I got into sales because I figured if I can handle rejections, if I can handle objections, I can handle anything. How about those that tell them not to sell? How about those that tell them not to sell? Oh, okay. Oh, so yeah. I'll get back. Sorry about that. I'm going to get to that in a second. There was a question that just came up. What about people that say don't sell? Well, most of those people, the only person that would say go out and sell hard would probably be a pit bull. The people that say don't sell are going to probably be people like the retrievers or people like the poodles. They don't want to be seen to getting dirty. They want to be seen as servicing the customer. As a matter of fact, one of the things we talk about in the book is the fact that in order to be successful in sales, at some level, you've got to pick up the skills from all the breeds. In other words, you got to have the marketing skill of the poodle. I don't care how, if you're a basset hound and you're good at building personal rapport and building integrity and all that industrial age stuff, I mean, it's cool, it's good, but you will never compete with a poodle that's getting 10,000 hits on their website every week. That's good marketing. So you've got to be able to balance both of those, or actually all five of the skills. The other thing is that what the retriever knows is that most sales come from existing clients. In other words, if you continue to service the client, you can upsell, cross-sell, get referrals, all of those things from your existing clients. The problem with the pit bull keeps running out there after new territory and burning the bridges behind them. By the way, some of you are thinking, well, I'm not really a pit bull. I'm not really even a poodle. I think I'm more of a German Shepherd or a Doberman. No, if you are, then you might want to change that. The problem is those are attack dogs. As a matter of fact, I find that most customer service organizations put attack dogs in charge of customer service, which is completely wrong. You called up and try to get something handled, have a customer service problem, and all you get is growling at the other end of the phone, intimidated to heck, you hang up the telephone. No. The idea here is that